Today we have a colleague from Israel who's doing work in learning sciences in the area of complex systems. Fascinating work with a really nice description of what she's going to be talking about. I suspected that she was in the witness protection program, however, because I went to look up some biographical information because she put a rather modest bio here and was able to find very little about her. So, but she confirmed that she's not part of the witness protection program, which confirms that she is part of the witness protection program. So let me tell you a little bit about Orit Assaraf. She's an associate professor in the Department of Science Education at Ben-Gurion University in Israel. And her work in science education focuses on environmental education, nature conservation, cognitive-based research in systems thinking, and biology. So that's an area that's very interesting to many of us. And she's also done some work in informal learning environments like zoos and family learning environments like that, science museums. And she has a PhD from the Weizmann Institute in Science Education 2003, working with Nir Obayom. So thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here. So hi everybody. Okay. I'm very happy to be here today. I will introduce the work of Jacqueline Rito, my PhD student, and Zohar Snapir, my postdoc, from the Ben-Gurion University of the Negev in Israel. And we will discuss some issues of teaching about human biology taking a system approach. And the first question is why to learn about systems. System is complexity in science education has become increasingly important subject in science education community. Systems are everywhere, biology, organization, technological, but my focus on systems started from the Earth system and biochemical cycles, which was the focus of my PhD work with Professor Nir Obayom, and I asked about students' ability to explain phenomena. The most recent environmental issues, social scientific issues that Israel encounters now, it's not the Palestinians, it's the Dead Sea crisis. And this is one major question that we are troubled with. Why dangerous sinkholes keep appearing along the Dead Sea? It's a question that influences the tourism along environmental and biodiversity issues in the Dead Sea surrounding, and appears a lot in the media. But it's also a question that touches the essence of Earth system approach. The Earth system approach suggests that the ability of students to deal with biochemical complicated systems and questions is based on their ability to develop a dynamic, cyclic, and systemic perception of our planet. Another approach that influenced the research on complexity in the science education community is the social scientific issues approach. The social scientific issues such as global warming, biodiversity, genetically modified food, or AIDS, designed as complex cases because of their uncertain science or not completely understood character and their multidisciplinary. Fensham in 2012 suggested or pointed on the complexity race. He argued that the science education curriculum does not allow students to fully understand complexity. Building on ever more complex human world by manipulating nature while seeking to find ways of reducing the increased level of complexity as he suggested. For example, the disaster of oil leak in the Gulf of Mexico began as a technological processes that simplified the extraction of oil, but when the process broke down, a litany of new complexities has continued to emerge for the ecosystems. So, I think the more advanced influence on system research and complexity in science education started with the NGSS, the Next Generation Science Standard, where many concepts related to complex system has been included as a cross-cutting concept, pattern, cause and effect, scale, relating also to the border of the system and system models, flow, cycles, structure and function, stability and change, And the next generation standard highlights the value of assessment, not value the assessment of namely understanding each concept by itself, but really able to apply a worldview that incorporates these ideas. It's very important because more and more I see initiatives that are focused on teaching each different cross-cutting concept, and this was not the reason why it was incorporated. This is really to take the rug under the people's education. So why define complex system if we don't want people to memorize? Why should we define it, and why, as I'm claiming, we should teach complexity by itself? So we know that understanding complexity is a crucial skill for understanding many phenomena that I will explain in a few moments. We share some assumption. I could give you many definitions of system and system thinking. I have a variety of definitions, but I think there are 3 points that are most researchers share ideas about them. The entity consists of a large number of structures at a different level of organization in which various processes occur. A complex system functions through the mutual interaction of its various components which work together to bring about a singular function. When we speak about the human body, homeostasis is going to be a crucial and important one. And the interaction within the system are influenced by a feedback loop that they are usually non-linear. Some researchers also pointed on immersion as important. I think it's important, but is not a center in my research. So the first claim of complexity in biology education that I would like to introduce is that it is important to present the human body within a conceptual framework that address, express, and organize all of the system components. The most recent conceptual presentation was introduced just last year by Cindy Mello-Silver and colleagues. Maybe some of you know the SBF, Structured Behavior Function Model. So this is the replacement of the CMP. So don't use the SBF anymore if you want to be updated. The new name is the CMP, the Conceptual Framework, which also related on component, on structure, on mechanism, and phenomena. It was developed as a framework specifically to teach about ecological system and aquatic model system. The CMP model allows students to construct and represent their system thinking around an ecological phenomena or a pattern, to recall or create a conceivable mechanism, M, which includes all the interaction within the system in different levels of organization, and it might influence this phenomena, and it's investigate the components that generate the phenomena and mechanism. It came with a suite of technological tools that designed specifically for understanding environmental issues in aquatic system, such as why the fish died in the pond, or what influenced the well-being and the biodiversity within the pond. It began with the problem or driving question, the phenomena, organized instruction around conceptual representation, and engaged students in constructing explanation and reasoning from evidence. And in a previous paper, before the one that I quote in 2006, she also added the E to the name of the model. So in some papers, you could see that it's not a CMP, it's PMC/E. And then she decided to change it, but it's really the same model. Alongside with the CMP model and the SBF model, me and Professor Lior Orion from Weizmann Institute developed the system thinking hierarchic model in 2005. It was a result of a very big study of junior high school understanding biogeochemical cycles, such as the water cycle. We claim that system thinking includes 8 characteristics in surrounding order, The first level is analysis of system components, the ability to identify the system component and processes. And I took some example of the human body just for you to see, since I'm going to present you some work about the human body concept map. So from now, more and more examples will be from regarding human biology in high school. Those are parallel to the structure of components in the parallel models of the CMP and SDF. The level B is the synthesis of components into a system. Identify dynamic interrelationship among the system components, in emphasizing the dynamic interaction, and organize components and processes within a network of interrelationship. And here, the border of the system is very important. What will be the border of this network? Is it the human body, or it's only one system, as we can see in the results in a few moments? And identify matter and energy cycle within the system. Although the human body is not as parallel to Earth system as a system, we are not thinking about matter conservation, but it's still there. There are many attributes regarding energy cycles and matter. And the most advanced level of system thinking, implementation, the ability to identify pattern in the system and to make generalization. This one is parallel to the phenomena and the big questions in the CMP model, or in the SBF model, it will be the functions. The ability to identify hidden part of the system. It could be the micro level in biology, in human biology, and it could be groundwater or chemistry of a river in the Earth system. And I believe that the most problematic for students to perceive, or even in university, is the temporal thinking, the prediction and retrospective understanding that interaction that I see that taking place now will influence in the future, and understanding phenomena now are results of interaction that took place even millions of years ago, but sometimes even in hidden dimension. Conceptual representation helps students to build a model of a system, essentially providing a vehicle by which mental model can be externalized and collaboratively discussed. And this model helps students to organize their idea and perceive a system as a whole. And I believe also that theoretical framework enables an exploration of learners' systems capabilities. It's a tool for researchers to follow on the development of system thinking abilities, even from elementary school students until university students, in different settings and topics. So the second claim of my talk will be the students should be giving a means to externalize and examining their own mental system model. The first paper that I present, I think you got a summary of my presentation with a lot of some references. So it's appears there, Trito and Assaraf and Orit from 2016, in which we characterize the long-term development of human body system understanding among high school biology students. And we ask, does high school biology curriculum provide students with skills needed to develop a system understanding of the human body? Our students refine their model through 3 years of learning biology education, more than 4 hours a week, with a lot of rich learning environment from laboratories, simulation, visiting in hospitals, working with researchers. What kind of revised mental model they present in each step of the learning process. So the approach of human biology in Israel, in the high school curriculum, has 2 claims. First, it starts all 3 of organization, level of organization, the cellular level, the organism, and the ecosystem. In each one of them, it presents the hierarchy, the homeostasis, and the dynamism. And those 6 aspects will be influenced how each of the subsystems in the human body will be taught in class. So from every year there's different systems I will show you in a few moments, but every time and the assessment is around the understanding the different level of organization and understanding pattern of hierarchy, almost studies, even in the cellular level, which is very difficult to students, and dynamism. So we followed the same students, more than 60 students, for 3 years during the learning process. In 10th grade, they had an introduction for all human body systems, and we started about December and in the end of the learning process. In 11th grade, it was in the middle, and in 12th grade, they had another unit which they needed to study: evolution, microorganism, reproduction, and the matriculation exam is in 12th grade. I will present the result only of 67 students, although we started with more than 200. The reason we start with more than 200 is not all of them decided that they want really to major in biology, the first one. And the second one, in Israel, every year you need twice a year to get parents' approval to participate in the research. So if parents, for some reason, decided they don't want the student child to be interviewed, so it drop out, regardless how many data we will have on him from the beginning of the learning process. It's really difficult to do research. I don't know how it is at probably the same area as well. So the student did the concept map and interviews during the learning process as I described. We used the system thinking hierarchic model as a conceptual framework for data analysis. And we analyzed each student for 3 years, in which it's a multiple case study. Each student we have many concept maps, but also interviews and recording about how he participated in the class, exams, and so on. So how are the STA model elements manifested in high school biology students over the 3 years of studies? I didn't put statistics because they are in the paper. I just presented some qualitative data analysis today. When we look at Ronnie's concept map from 10th grade, we can see that from the beginning she acknowledged 3 subsystems in the human body: the cardiovascular system, digestive system, respiratory system. But mainly, as other colleagues suggested about understanding systems, she preferred the structural aspect of the system. Most of the concept maps know the connection between concepts were built of, part of, for example, composed of, divided into, and take place. And she rarely addressed the micro level. Let's see, I'll just give you some, if you could just thank you. It will be easier to look. Let's see it Ronnie post-sequence way. It's the R. You can see this is the R. It's 2 sides, one is R. Okay. I must, of course, say, she didn't do it in English. You probably understand. It would be very difficult if I would give you the original concept map in Hebrew. So, just translate it and give it to the graphic editing. But it's the same shape and the same everything, just look more elegant. So we can see that in the end of the learning process, she's still very much about structure. She's very much trying to touch as many sub-systems in the human body. And she do move from a macro level to the micro level. We can see that she acknowledged 20 concepts in the cellular level and 8 concepts in the molecular level. And she do acknowledge homeostasis regarding the digestive system. So you could see all kinds of improvements in understanding complexity. But taking into account that she studied 3 years, 4 hours a week, you could try to think about what she took from all this learning process, which was important for her. And this is what I like concept map, because students don't know what you want from them. There is no emphasis in the instructions of what is a good concept map for these students. Let's see Tammy. Tammy started the learning process with understanding of the micro level. She addressed components as hemoglobin, glucose, and DNA, and she also connected 2 subsystems, the circulatory system with other systems with dynamic interaction, noting that the digestive system breaks food down into small molecules, still doesn't know the mechanism, still don't know to point on the specific matter transition, but she do has a dynamic perception of what is a system. You can see on the other side of the page, you can see Tammy post-map. And we can see 2 things that's really interesting in Tammy's pattern of the model that she developed regarding the human body as a system. We can see that she dynamism, matter transition, it was very important for her, and few examples in the concept map exist. And she do evaluate homeostasis not only as keeping internal environment, but also as deviation from homeostasis. And homeostasis is the name of the program. It was amazing to see. The name of the program is the human body as in emphasizing homeostasis. There is no one lesson that the teacher did not say at least 3 times the word homeostasis. And still, even though it's very rare to students to choose to demonstrate homeostasis mechanism in their concept map. You can see also 2 different between the students, Tammy and Ronnie, regarding the digestive system. Tammy portrayed the concept in the context of dynamic process, showing the secreting of secretin, and Ronnie presents this component from a digestive system as part of the instinct structure. And it's amazing. You can see, I'll show you some examples furthermore, that students who prefer the structural aspect of the system will enlarge and enlarge and enlarge and gather data about the structure without pointing on mechanism, which is very difficult for them. So we can say from the first step of the research that overall the percentage of students who express dynamism and homeostasis in their conceptual map increase gradually as they progress through the learning process. And one characteristic of homeostasis is that it's a multi-systemic, and very few of the student maps address the dynamic interaction between 2 body systems. It's something that's really crucial in understanding complexity in human body, and I will touch it later on in this in my talk. So the third claim I would like to suggest about understanding the human body as a system is that students can benefit greatly from explicit guidance in using system language. It can take a form of knowledge integration activities that help students arrange their knowledge and understanding regarding and building models on a system. It's important for me to emphasize from the slide that I spoke about the NGSS, it doesn't mean that you need to teach what is a system. You don't. You must, or I suggest you should allow students, give them an opportunity to ask him what is a system within a system. So in the second paper that we presented in 2016, we asked, or we would like to facilitate the use of system language among students who have completed the first year of high school biology. And we ask how can a metacognitive reflective process help high school biology students to use system language. We published it in International Journal of Science Education a year ago. And the same student from the previous paper, created two concept maps, pre and post, during the 10th grade. The students were presented with two concept maps from the 10th grade and asked to compare the two of them in relation to the following questions. Look at the map. Which map better describes the human body as a system? And how would you saw the concepts circled on both maps? So think for a moment that you are a student in 11th grade. And this page, this is your learning outcome from 10th grade, or even 11th grade. And there's two concept maps. And your teacher asks you during an interview just to write down which one better presents the human body as a system. What will you think about? How would you solve the concept that you used? It's your data. You should know what you did, why you did it. And it's amazing that from the beginning in the interview, students don't know. They said, you just asked me, and I did it. I don't know. And then in the second stage, the students were asked to compare the two concept maps again, but this time we use explicit guidance. Do the map represent interaction between system components? Do the pre and post concept map you create express each of the system characteristics, dynamism, hierarchy, and homeostasis? And again, look at both maps. Which one is better describes the human body as a system? We took students' elaboration from those two stages for this question, the comparison, and we did a qualitative data analysis, and we looked what kind of categories emerged from the data, and we could see that with no explicit instruction, you can see the absence of homeostasis. You could see the absence of mechanism, and the synthesis level was not there. Almost all of the elaboration were regarding hierarchy and the multiple subsystems. I want to emphasize again that it doesn't mean the fact that they don't see connection between systems. It doesn't mean that they don't have at least 4 subsystems in the concept map. It's just they said there is a human body, and it includes this system, this system, this system, this system. It's look connected, but it's not really connected at all. Only sometimes it includes also cells. Cells are part also with this connection, the structural connection within the different level of organization, like tissues, cell, or DNA. When you look at their elaboration after the explicit guidance, the speaking aloud, the language of system thinking, we could see two things that are very much dominant. One is not only there are much more elaboration regarding homeostasis, they acknowledge different types of homeostasis. They ask about regulation, they ask about control, they ask about feedback loops, all kinds of things that they learned about homeostasis. So you can ask from the beginning, Orit, what does it mean about the reliability of concept maps as presenting students' knowledge? If only after explicit, they know so much, after explicit guidance, but when they're just doing the concept map in the end of the learning process, it's not there. I'm not sure I have a full answer to that, but we do know that what is the intuitive first model the student creates in concept map, from Novak studies to from Audible Days, Novak, and so on. We know that this intuitive cognitive model says something about how students will solve problems, or what skills, or what concept they will use in a problem-based situation. And the second one is the dynamism. Matter transfer was very much important for them, and there are a lot of examples and elaboration of things they learned in class. They think they are regrets that they didn't put it. So one question is, how can we help students reflect on their own learning process? So we add 2 questions to the interview. The first one was, what did you learn from the concept map about your understanding of the human body as a system. The qualitative data analysis suggests on two things: the awareness of system multiplicity and the awareness of homeostasis. And they recognize the gap between what they know and what they learn and how they present the human body as a system. And of course, the awareness of connection between systems. And the second question was, what would you ask your teacher to change that would help you to be able to better describe the human body as a system? I must admit, the first 2 minutes, it says nothing. We have an excellent teacher, everything is great. They don't know who we are friends with and who is going to hear about it. And then after a few moments when they understood it's really anonymous. No one will see what they said in the interview. There's so many things they said that I wish I could show their teacher. First one is to also to need to draw connection between the system and a lot of knowledge integration activities. What happened in Israel is because of the matriculation, it's like a race. To finish, it's another exam. The students feel that they don't have time to process the knowledge, to understand what does it mean to them. From one point of view, it's a rich learning environment, which includes many components of film, of graph, presentation, field trips, models, pictures, simulation. It's good schools, it's good students, but they don't know how to connect it. What does it mean? They see the gaps between the assessment of the exams and their ability to create a simple concept map of the human body. And this gap is very, very much frustrating for them. And for teachers, they must admit. So you can see that the reflective process helps students identify gaps in their understanding of the human body as a system, and the metacognitive interview led to improved expression of the system pattern, homeostasis, hierarchy, and dynamism. Furthermore, the research supports the idea that one of the major issues affecting students' ability to learn about complex systems is their cognitive and metacognitive processes. Concept map can be used to organize knowledge in a meaningful way and encouraging reflection. And without explicit scaffolding, students have difficulty to develop system thinking in the high order thinking abilities of synthesis and pattern and temporal thinking and so on. Still, we have challenges. Many students, we acknowledge that the third year is very crucial for students. Maybe their maturity, maybe they are more an experts, and they use in a very efficient way the learning environment and the learning materials to build a more complicated and more sophisticated mental model of the human body. Still, some students, at least a third of them, not so quite many. The movement from 11th grade to 12th grade looks like that. I'll show you again. More and more structures, more and more knowledge, just trying to put whatever they know on the concept map, without any generalization, without any arrangement around essential core ideas, a mechanism, no sophisticated homeostasis mechanism, for example. Although they may be in the matriculation exam, they will get 100, because the matriculation exams is about knowledge, it's not about cognitive abilities. No one. It's not going to the Ministry of Education, I hope, in Israel, because I still do need some grant from them. So the question is, how can we help them to see the forest for the trees? And my last claim is the teachers should be provided with learning materials that explicitly reinforce the connection between the human body, various systems, and understanding what is complexity in the human body. And I must say that it must start in junior high school. And last year, a 4 years effort of learning materials that were developed in Weizmann Institute by Lena Ravet. She's a student of Anat Yarden from Weizmann Institute. And she built a set of learning materials regarding the human body circulatory system as an example. that emphasize all aspects of complexity within the system thinking hierarchic model, and she refined it for biology education because she pointed on some gaps between how it is fit biology education regarding Earth system. There are some differences. She did all the adjustments. And what she pointed out that there are two different main of transition. Transition part A is the ability to connect components at one level of organization, the horizontal current, to the ability to connect between components at different level of organization, which is the vertical currents. This transition is much more difficult for students in junior high school. It's a barrier to the ability to identify a simple relationship to ability for dynamic relationship in the biological system. She saw, as Vernhoff and other researchers, that going through within the same system, from the cellular level or molecular level to the whole system, to all the level of organization, and to see the different interaction to present the phenomena, as a challenge that without that, students cannot go to the further ability of seeing connection between the different subsystems. If we want students to see connection between the nerve system and respiratory system, they need to be trained for each one subsystem to go through again and again all level of organization and to be able to present their own mental model of relationship, to create a web of interaction that's meaningful for them in order that it's like islands. Each system is like an island, and the micro level is very important as a mechanism. Thank you very much.
Great. I'm sure there's lots of questions. First question?
Yes, please.
I have two.
Yeah.
Did I understand you to say that it's not necessary to teach students about systems conceptually? You just need to teach them sort of the biological systems?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said that one of the bad consequences of the NGSS cost-cutting concept is efforts to teach what is a border, what is each one of the cost-cutting concepts, what is a system. They don't know what to do with this knowledge. If they will do study a system in the human body or in the water cycle or even in technology, and then they will need to do a knowledge integration activity of what is a system within a system. That each student, for example, in a group, will have one concept from the cost-cutting concept, and he can do a presentation to the class of 3 slides. What does border mean to this specific system that they have learned? Or what does it mean function or stability or so on? So that's what I meant.
So I know about the MGSS, but it's not my area, but I was just wondering about sort of having a conceptual scheme of systems sort of going in parallel with learning on systems. Wouldn't that help students sort of understand, for example, the human body as a system more explicitly? If you kind of, you know, for example,
I understand what you're saying, but you think about inductive versus deductive, right? So we know from learning styles research papers that many boys, in comparison to girls, are much more deductive. They want to see the structure of the system before they go inside into the details. What is the risk? I'm not saying not to do that. I'm saying understanding the risk and thinking about it. Is the student memorize? For example, in almost studies, in manipulation exams, students learn the 4 sentences that, regardless the question, they will put it there. It says, well, this is about regulation. This is about control. You must recognize all level of organization. And I see many matriculation exams when you take off all those very deductive sentences and you're trying to figure out, did he analyze the problem or he did not? You can see that they really like to use these sentences without really understanding the meaning. So I think it should come from both top down and.
Can I just ask a follow-up?
Yeah.
It's again about schemas. So, what do they see as models of a conceptual map before they're asked to do a conceptual map?
Great question. They do twice concept map regarding anything they choose. It could be football, it could be basketball, it could be ecological system. We use it twice. One about their hobby or something, even it could be Friends, you know, the TV show, or Seinfeld, whatever. I'm from the 80s, and so I know the new thing. But I still see Seinfeld every day. Lucky in Israel, it exists. Yet. So it's also the matter of language. It's concept map difficult for students who are not articulate in their language. And it's really important for them to practice the language. What does it mean? And we, in my previous, one of my research in elementary school, a school that I did a research on elementary school development of system thinking abilities. Another student did work on language abilities, literacy in language and language abilities. And she gave me all the data, and we saw a comparison. It was amazing to see that if you want students to be a very good articulate in science, teach them literature. Teach them how to write. We saw it was amazing that it was the same students that can speak about their hobby, about everything. They will know to use the language beneficial in concept map. It is also a barrier of this really ability of this tool for assessment. So this one, concept map was the first one, and the second one was about ecology for practicing. And then we did the human body.
But they never saw a concept map that you would consider capturing all three homeostasis, hierarchy, and...
No. We don't believe that there is. I don't believe, as Novak presents, that there is an expert concept map of a human body. It's a knowledge integration of your own mental model. I came to a class once and I saw the teacher drew after a professional development course of concept map. She drew in chemistry a concept map, and all students need to memorize her concept map. This is not a concept map. Yeah.
I have a question for these two maps.
Yeah.
For R, this one.
Yeah.
It actually has a lot of connections showing causal relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I cannot see in this map. So when you teach concept map, you teach these different relationships.
We don't teach concept map at all.
Oh, you didn't teach.
And we come to the class not in a biology class.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Minister of School does not allow us, because it's very important to study biology. Mm-hmm. They allow us to come only in the expense of literature or Bible or anything from the non-important STEM education system in Israel. So if you want to go, so if it is a gym or literature or whatever, you can take the students as much as you want, but don't dare to touch STEM class. So, or English. So we don't teach concept map at all. For them, it's a knowledge integration activities, and what amazing is that they can choose not to stay. They can choose not to do it. And we didn't find even one student that said, I don't want to participate. I don't want it. They felt that they learned through using the concept map. Or they don't like literature, I don't know.
So I'm just trying to like the one example you have where you have them generate a concept or two concept maps and compare them, and you give them some explicit guidance, and they're able to articulate some of these more advanced systems ideas. Is that
Yeah.
your characterization? So
Yeah.
I guess my question is, like one hypothesis is that these systems ideas are just conceptually difficult, but another hypothesis is that it's not really the conceptual challenge, it's really more of a categorization issue and understanding that this is a more useful and valuable way of looking at the systems. And I'm wondering if you could, if you feel like your data suggests that, they've heard homeostasis over and over and over again, that they actually have a conceptual understanding, but for some reason it's not, they're not seeing it as like the key ideas or the valuable ideas. So it's not a conceptual problem, it's really, I don't know how to say what the problem
I think
is.
your question touched very much the essence of qualitative data analysis, also for drawing and concept map and many other repertory grid tools that are used in other research of mine. What does it mean, the mental model that are represented by the student in one moment? You capture a moment in the student life. Maybe you remember his last class. Maybe you remember something that you saw, even a movie in National Geographic or something, and you went to a gym and the teacher spoke about the muscles and that's why muscles appears. We don't know, but we do know that for some students is one reason and for some students is the other. How do we know that? We know that some students, after giving us a very rich description of almost studies, they're doing again the concept map in the end of in 11th grade, and they're going back to the structural concept map.
Right.
Like there was no interview. And you ask yourself, what did they take, what did they took from this experience? And in another interview, because we did a triangulation of research that I did not present because we also did interview and repertory grid, we can see that some ideas emerge in the repertory grid technique, some will be emerged in the concept map, some will in the interview, and some in the class discussion. We don't know how the distribution of ideas, what does it mean for meaningful learning for every student. So we know that for some students, they will not use it, even though they know to describe it. And for some students, you can see that after the interview, they change dramatically their concept map at 11th grade. And recently we wrote a paper for instructional science that described those patterns. We described for students all the concept map for 3 years, and what can we learn from this, from each of the different for each of the different students. We don't really know.
So I'm wondering, I mean, it seems that one of the things that's coming out from your work and other people's work is that, systems thinking is really hard, whether it's in college or science, biology. And I'm wondering if you've thought about, I guess, sort of a learning progressions idea. What would you need to do earlier to prepare students to really think about it in this way? Because, and I mean, one of the NGSS, I guess is a related question, one of the NGSS performance expectations that we have is around interaction of systems. And they don't say in there how much students need to know about each system, right? Each component of the system, these organs. And so I'm wondering, can you, and this also relates, I guess, somewhat to Elisa's question,